just like a couple of months ago, I visited New York City. Have anybody been in New York City? Okay. So, could you recognize some yellow cabs, taxi in New York? Are they many? It's pretty many, yeah, you know, because you know, it's absolutely impossible to drive a personal car in New York. It's full of traffic, and in fact, only taxi cabs is available, and that is really easy to catch and, you know, to take the taxi and, you know, and go wherever you want. And you know, it was traditionally, it was the mostly, how to say, if a person was a taxi driver, it was a you know, his life is okay. So he understood that every day he has work, and this work is going to be paid. And you know that the license for New York City driver, the taxi driver, the cost of the license was over $1 million US. $1 million US. Do you know the cost of the taxi driver license in New York today? Can you guess? Just it used to be like 20 years ago, $1 million US, and today
5,000,
10,000, 10,000 US. 10,000, like 1 million, 10,000. Why?
Because of Uber.
Uber. That's right. So in fact, what actually Uber did, like they just provided a platform how to communicate the passengers with the cars, nothing else. They don't have any car. Uber has any car on a property, but they have the biggest car park in the world today. So and that brings the you know, the cost of the license for taxi driver in New York, the most respected you know, work for in taxi in the world, to the, you know, 10,000 US. And actually all the taxi drivers, they are, you know, complaining about this. They say that, okay, we have to work harder. Yeah, just because, you know, the competition is enormous today. So you can select whatever you like you know, what car you want, what a driver you want, etc. So you understand that everything, I mean, the major change in this area was done just through the platform and data. Well, just because the information technology managed to, you know, collect all the information about the cars available and can get passengers with the car driver directly, with no any operator who is gonna call you, or, and you know, some kind of taxi company, etc. How do you think? I mean, is that a good example? How do you think?
Yes.
The data in a taxi, like how traditional is the taxi business? Very traditional. You know that, just a second, I just complete my idea. You know that the taxi drivers, I mean, what's the typical behavior of the passengers just to catch a taxi? Like to stand at the road and pull out the hand like this. I mean, many of you did this many times, right? But now it is not like this. You already did not.
No, yes.
But, you know, I remember, I'm older than you, but I remember the time when you need a taxi, you just come to the road and just put the hand like this. So that is the, you know, the international gesture how to, you know, catch a taxi. So now you just simply cannot see these people. You know, 1 year ago I was in St. Petersburg, and I was at the situation where I has no phone with me. So I just need to take a taxi. I just did the same thing what I get used to. Like I just put and come to the road and take my hand like this. So nobody stopped. Like I waited like 30 minutes, and actually I decided to walk because I could wait forever. So nobody stops. It's amazing. You got a question.
Actually, I can develop your idea about taxi. So today we have a digital platform by Google that organizes all taxi drivers. But some experts predict that in a few decades there won't be the profession of taxi driver because it will be eliminated by self-driving cars. So people won't have work, and the taxi business is not so traditional today as we think.
Well,
because Uber has spent thousands of, not thousands, but I think millions of dollars on innovative developments in smart intelligence.
You're absolutely right. So your point is, I mean, goes even further that we were discussing this kind of.
Decided to develop the idea.
Of course. So, but in this case, you know, it will not bring us to the same situation which it used to be, which is used to. Like, okay, imagine that, you know, all the self-driving cars available on the roads. You won't be stopping it like this.
We will use apps on our
Of course. Or, you know, we will develop the 5G communications, and, you know, you just say, I need a taxi, and, you know, it immediately will come up to where you stand. So my point is not to discussing the taxi business, probably more data and technology and geology, because I think that gradually we will move to the area where I would like you to help me, because we need to develop some geology. And here we have the full bunch of opportunities to try the data-driven approach. But okay, another thing I would like to share with you is the banking industry. It is also, you know, full of data, right? Well, do you have an idea what kind of data might be useful for banking?
Stock prices linked to the stock market. So,
I mean, okay, well, let's narrow the focus, because banking is, you know, huge. Like, let's imagine the retail banking. How many of you have the banking card? Okay, all. Okay. I was gonna make sure of it. That here is, you know, there. Everybody are just up to date. But how many of you do not use banking card? What do you mean, right?
Do you mean by the so we don't use the card but
Apple Pay?
Oh yeah, never.
Or cash? Still using cash?
No.
Somebody yes, somebody no.
Austrians.
Or an application?
it should be constitutional.
You know that in Moscow there are some just food retail stores, but quite upscales, and you know that I noticed that all people who are actually standing in a queue to the cash register do not use either cash or banking card. They all use some kind of equipment, like, you know, watches or telephones, etc. So once I just noticed that a person just pulled out the card from the wallet, and you know, everybody started staring at him just like you know, he did something wrong, like you know, what is that? Is that a card or what? I mean, I could imagine if this person would pull out some cash. It you know, looks like it's already impolite. However, you know, we have a lot of transactions made by card. So what kind of business we can do with analyzing of this transaction activity? Do you think it is important for banking, or and we can do something with it?
Well, it could be consumer behavior, and also if he like extensively use of its credit cards and overuse its limits all the time.
Right, right. Something else?
Probably can sell data or some information on when you put that transactions.
That's right, but what kind of data? I mean, the raw data, or some kind of conclusions or predictions, or what?
Collect the data where to buy things,
Mm-hmm.
sell the data to other companies to get the personalized version.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's right. How about the credits? The credits. Do you think it is useful to understand if a person will return the credit? You know that the funny thing is that today the big data analytical tools can predict it's the default rate. You know what it is, the default rate. You know, at the time of asking for the credit. So the person himself cannot even, you know, has no even idea that he will not be able to return the credit, but the computerized logics can predict this with a very big probability. It's a kind of, you know, mystery now, but it works. And you know, the more and more banks started using this. So from time to time, we, if we ask bank for the credit and he just rejects this this credit for us, so we cannot understand, but bank does.
But that stuff is so many insurance companies, so it did sort of.
Sure. Yes, yeah, that's right. So it means that data is really important. That's what I would like to demonstrate more and more. So let's move further with the geology. Why do you think geology is important? Because I'm a geologist now, and so I need to promote some geology ideas for you as well. So, but anyway, just let's imagine why.
Because for innovative technologies, you need the resources.
Great. I mean, that's I would say nothing else is needed. No any answers. So that's right. And in fact, every kind of our aspect of life is based on the mineral resources. Like, and you know that like 200 years ago, what was the basic mineral resource which were needed by humanity? Coal. And then, you know, 1,000 years ago? Eh? Stones? It was cuprum and some ferrum and something else, the wood. Today, what is today? Oil, of course, of course. Oil and gas. And tomorrow?
Renewable sources of energy.
What's that?
Renewable sources of energy.
It's you know, too wide. What is that? Renewal, what is that?
So solar power, then
No. Solar, something coming out from the heavens, like it is not resource of our planet. It's kind of resource of the solar system. But in order to convert the solar power into electricity, you need something else, right?
Uranium maybe.
Yes. What about deuterium? Have you heard about this?
Used for smartphones and it's being mined in most part of Congo.
So something. Have you heard about rare earth minerals, metals? Rare earth. So, which is widely used in this kind of electronic devices. So, what I mean is that time is changing, but at every particular momentum we need something which we can develop and we can produce from the earth. So that's why geology is really important, because actually only geologists can say where to take this kind of mineral or metal or whatever we need. What do you think? How data can help geologists to work and to achieve some results?
Space analysis for satellites for cartographing areas.
You're already starting discussing some kind of particular technology, but I would like to first discuss the basic principles. Like, okay, I will tell you the idea. Like, okay, first of all, we all like to take everything which is really easy to develop, right? For instance, have you heard about Saudi Arabic countries? Today is in a big troubles now, but they have a huge deposit of crude oil. It is really light oil. Have you heard about Arctics and Arctic's development? There is also oil in there, and looks like there is a very big deposit of oil in Arctics. But how do you think how difficult it is to develop the crude oil in Arctics comparing with the Saudi Arabia? Huge time. Big time. It is so difficult that sometimes it cannot be effective to develop. So we need new technology for this. So it means that the longer we live, so the harder is getting to find and develop some kind of mineral resources. So we need some new technology for this. Summarizing the basic idea of geology, what do we need from technology? First of all is the prediction. So we need to find a way how to get more percentage of success rate where the deposit is on the earth, right? We are sitting in this area. How can we be sure that there is nothing just under this ground? Maybe we are sitting on the gold mine. I don't know. Let's dig. But or maybe some uranium or whatever, or crude oil or something like this. Maybe on your personal backyard in a home there is some gold. Have you tried to dig something? No?
No.
Try. you know, there is a science of geology science saying that, okay, if there is a certain combination of, you know, stones and minerals and some trees, if they grow on a certain area, so with a big probability, there is some gold. Would you like to know what kind of yes, what kind of you know, features should be indicating this this gold inside? I know them, but they are, you know, but not only me. Of course, not only me, and you know, it is already known. And all the places where there is gold followed by these kind of features already developed. So we need to find more places and develop some kind of more indicators where to where we think there is some gold, or on kind of on a certain and how deep is the gold. Like, it's not gonna be just on the surface of the planet. It's gonna be like several kilometers down there. So it is even harder. However, today we have a lot of tools how to calculate the probability of the gold on certain areas. So then you can you know, develop an algorithm how to collect a lot of data, analyze them, and bring some probability, great or less, about some kind of very valuable mineral resources. So the task for geology is to increase their prediction rate of some kind of minerals. Another thing is improve the economy of research. Can you imagine how the work of geologists today is looking like? Now, there are some kind of people who actually have some birds, or am I pronouncing it right? Okay, so they're, you know, very tough. So they just, you know, go somewhere in Arctic and stay there for half of a year or maybe even longer, just to develop the, just to explore some kind of area. So the nature there is really tough. Like, you know, nobody lives 1,000 kilometers away of this land. Do you know what they do there? Like, how the work of geologists looks like? Any idea? Okay. I mean, the most active people are sitting over there. Why is that? Is that...
So I think that...
They're looking for gold, I know.
The equipment, the data from the equipment. For example,
sure.
They implement some computers on the Earth that send some signals to the ground and get the return signals and sees whether some mineral resources underground and after that they analyze this data and then make a conclusion. If
are you a geologist?
No, I just think so. It's my intuition.
Exactly right. Because, you know, the most common way how to, you know, actually explore the Earth is the seismic exploration. So, you know, all geologists, they just put some kind of sensors on the Earth, like on a very big territory. Then it, you know, put some explosives in the middle and make this booms. You probably, you might heard it someday or in some areas, because in fact it's not so rare. The exploration is happening, you know, in many places. And you know, they just collect the feedback from this seismic activity collected by these sensors. And then we need to analyze them. You know, it turns out that different mineral resource has, you know, when the seismic wave just goes along the ground, if it comes to the gold, you know, the seismic waves change. So, and if this sensor gets this information, we can analyze them after. So, but we collect a lot of data, and we cannot analyze them just on the place. That's why these geologists, they just collect the data and travel to the, how to say, big land, like to Moscow or to a big city where there is some kind of data centers and computers, and big computers, just to analyze this data. Do you know what the geologists do when the calculation is on the way?
To process the data?
The geologists? No. I mean, they just, you know, put all these indicators, I mean, they install it, they just made the explosives and, you know, collected the data. That is raw data. As a terabytes of data. Then they just take this storage, terabyte storage, like, you know, they look like this. I mean, it's not the flash card, it's just something big. And physically travels it to the city. What geologists do?
They're waiting.
Yes, they're waiting. They're sitting just in the middle of nowhere and they're just waiting. Drinking vodka maybe, and you know, hunting for bears, or I don't know what to do there. There is nothing to do in this area. Do you understand how long is the calculation and analysis is?
Maybe it can take it for years.
No. That's too long. But anyway, couple of months. Yes, couple of months. Because actually it needs some kind of intellectual work of the analytics. But why these people are sitting there? Why just they pack up the stuff and go home? Because it's expensive to travel them back and forth and back again. And in fact, when this analysis is done, so the next step is to make another analysis, because we need to, you know, make deeper analysis. Like for instance, like if we put in explosives on this line, and the analysis comes that you know, nothing is there, and it looks like something is in here. So we need to put the explosives on this line after. So we need the people staying there, and they just cost a lot of money. So what do you think if we can speed up this calculation and make this calculation done not within 2 months, but within 2 hours? Is that possible?
Probably yes.
I hope so. So we have everything, like, I mean, we have some big computers, we have, do we need to bring physically terabytes of information with the, you know, the helicopters and trains and cars, etc.? So probably we can transfer them by wires, by satellites, etc. Would you like to work with it? I mean, we need some ideas how to improve this, how to speed this up.
You can store the data in the cloud?
Sure.
It will speed the work?
Absolutely. But, you know, in this particular area, don't forget about competition. So if we store the information in the cloud, so somebody can use them.
We can encrypt it somehow?
Yes, we need to work about encryption of data. So you see that if we can improve this, we can decrease the workload for geologists. So we can establish, you know, much faster result. And but we need to safeguard them from the breaches of the competition, or we need to transmit them to the source of calculation, and actually we need to have the powerful enough data centers which actually can make this kind of huge work done within hours. So a lot of IT products needed. And in fact, why I'm talking to you like this, it is not solved. It is an area for improvements. Let me, what I forgot. Okay, so moving to the digital opportunities on the geology area. So again, we need to improve the probability rate of finding these mineral resources. That I mean, anybody who can provide this kind of algorithm, or to build a neurogrid to calculate or to predict this this mineral deposit, is gonna get the Nobel Prize, believe me, because that is way too important for people right now. Another thing is that you know that it turns out that our Earth is not so different. So, for instance, what I mean is that if we do some geology work for exploration somewhere in Africa, so we can use this kind of data in Arctic or in Siberia or whatever, everywhere else, because right now the geologists, they are focusing on the particular area. You know that in the company where I work today, there are 18,000 people. 18,000 people, geologists, working for exploration of the Russian territory. It's not so little amount, but actually that is only one company, and there are more. So a lot of people are working on this. How do you think if certain geologists who actually working in Irkutsk, do you know where it is? It's in Siberia. So they are very big experts in Siberia territory. Do you think they can work somewhere in, for instance, Black Sea area?
Why not?
No. I mean, yes. I mean, theoretically, but they need some kind of practical experience on this particular area, because they have some set of data which is really localized on the territory. The only, how to say, way how to combine all this knowledge together is to use computers and artificial intelligence, because so big amount of data cannot fit into any kind of human head. So no any person who actually the same effective in, for instance, in Africa and in Siberia, but artificial intelligence can do this. So the computer algorithm can provide the the geology patterns, you understand what it is, right? How to compare some kind of deposit, found deposit in Africa with the Siberia, and select some kind of common features, and then to use it to find a deposit in, for instance, in Middle East or in Japan or whatever. Nobody actually did anything, how to say, complete product yet. So maybe somebody from you will do this. We will buy the result. Very expensive. So another thing what I would like to mention is that today in the work of geologists, it's a lot of a big volume of the work is still manual. So the geologist just reads the analytical reports and make his own opinion on if there is something found or not. And that is a big problem, because we are really dependent on the personal opinion. And it should not be like this, right? It cannot be like this. So it should be kind of predefined logics. So I don't know what a particular person can do different, or I mean, what is the difference of the personal opinion and the computerized opinion? Can we just put the whole ideas out of the head and make it in standardized logics of computer? Is that possible? What do you think?
Question. Do you have some technology that will be based on machine learning, so that will take the results of previous researchers to raise the probability of?
That's exactly what I mean. So we need to develop this kind of tool. Today, all the tools available on the market, and actually there are very big and successful international companies who provide this kind of analytical tools. They only work with analytics. So can you tell me what's the difference between analytics and artificial intelligence?
Everyone wants to have some money to itself, to himself.
How about why money?
Well, not in the honest way.
Not really. Like I will make it more. I will rephrase my question. Like, okay, everybody already worked with analytics, and you also. So if you want to analyze like your monthly spending in the shops, so what would you do?
We can write it on a piece of paper.
Right.
And it will spend more time than artificial intelligence.
Or we can just make an app, for example.
Look. First of all, you just put everything on paper. Then you develop categories. Like, okay, that is for food, that is for clothing, that is for travel, etc.
Our banking app already.
Sure. But I mean, the practical thing is like this. So then you just calculate the subtotal and say, wow, I just put half of my budget on clothing. So should be next month I should slow down on this, or I just eat too much of McDonald's. Like I also should slow down on this. So that is the analytical work. So the basic idea is to structure data. Artificial intelligence works with unstructured data, right? Right? Let's discuss this. It's very a difficult thing. I just see my geologist sitting on this table and telling me that no any artificial intelligence can help geologists. All of them are 70 years old and greater. Yeah, I really think I really telling you.
Can I say something?
Sure.
As I understood, you want the machine to replace the personal opinion.
Absolutely.
But it's not possible. Because
Okay,
human
tell me why.
brain is much more clever than the machine, and the machine can't just achieve this result. And it's proved theoretically now, and maybe in the future we can deal with it. But there is a theory that machine learning and all this here artificial intelligence is improving and so developing extremely fast, and it will reach its maximum sometime. And it can be not the result we want to achieve. So, and that's why I think all these machine systems can be used only as an assistant, as a system. But we won't be able to replace the personal opinion.
Okay, that's an opinion, and very good that it comes from the human. Because someday participating in the conference for artificial intelligence, I see the really weird thing when the people trying to convince another people that machines are better than humans. So I'm immediately started thinking that these people are not humans already. Maybe they are robots, or I don't know. How can we make sure of it? So, of course, your opinion is really important, and I think that for this level we cannot either prove it or disprove it. However, the idea is really simple. Like, have you ever thought how you make some kind of decisions? If you try to understand them, the process, you will see that you go through the certain, how to say, process, like saying that, okay, I need to get an information here, some kind of here, then I compare these facts, etc. Can we put it on the computer? Yes, we can.
What about intuition?
What intuition is?
It's a very important part of our mind.
Yes, but
it is a risk.
If we try to define what intuition is, we will see that we started speaking again about logic. So, and we cannot, maybe it happens unconsciously, but we still go for some kind of logics. Maybe someday we even cannot understand what the logic is. But if we start thinking about this, we can define the steps. So that's why I'm more, how to say, I think that in a big extent, the determination of the process of thinking is possible. However, we still have a kind of small room for something mystical, like the soul, the brain, the intuition, etc. Okay, let's put it like this. Let's automate the routine first. A lot of things, like that today is really popular profession is a manager, right? Like we have some kind of white collars. We even develop a name for them. So do you know that 100 years ago there were not this kind of profession? People were working not in offices but on the production. I mean, they just were taxi drivers. They were loaders, they were, I mean, a lot of other professions. But today, a lot of people working in offices, what do they do there? How many of you wants to be the manager? Come on. I mean, everyone. I think everyone. Not the sales manager, but actually sales manager is also okay. But actually, what do managers do?
Manage people.
Of course, they just collect the information, just distribute it to the other employees, and you know, set the goals and just collect the results. So, is that possible to do this kind of job by computer? I think yeah. A lot of things can be done by computer. So, and in the work of geologists, the computerized logic can bring enormous value of and enormous improvements of the results. So that's what we are also looking for and developing the ways how to do this. Another thing is, I mean, actually we have less than 10 minutes, but I have a very important thing at the dessert. So, have you ever heard about cryptocurrencies and crypto market?
Yeah.
Do you believe in it, or still think that that is a kind of pyramid, and it's gonna be, you know? Anybody has Bitcoin? Somebody believes in it. Only one? No, only one who has the Bitcoin? Anybody? Okay. You know that the funny thing is that the crypto economy, which is developing every year, is getting bigger and bigger. Today, for instance, the whole cap for cryptocurrency is greater than $300 billion, and the global turnover of cryptocurrencies is greater than $400 billion a day. So it is a huge market already. And the main advantages of crypto for the practical areas is the following. So first of all, you understand that people who actually work with the cryptocurrency are much, how to say, risk-oriented. So they can accept more risks. So this creates a very good area where to put some ideas for venture projects. Anybody of you thought about their own business, like a startup?
Yes.
So any kind of startup is a venture. Do you understand who is going to finance your startup?
In my case, it would be the company I'm working for. But, of course, there's venture capital or other resources you could choose.
Okay, so you're lucky if you already has a kind of investor for your project. But you know that all the venture projects made some kind of phases, and you know, in a very beginning phase, I mean, it's really rare to find an investor. In most cases, the investor is going to be your mom or dad, or you know, some kind of relatives, but nothing from the institutional investor, because the risk is too high. So by making this crypto market, we you know, we develop the whole market for the people who actually can take the high risk, expecting high results. So this means that putting some kind of venture projects into the crypto, we can provide the whole platform how to finance this kind of venture project. So, and that is another way, that is another opportunity for even geology market, how to, you know, explore some kind of interesting places where the gold might be. So, for instance, do you think it sounds interesting if I say that, okay, by some kind of preliminary examinations, I know the place of Earth where there is some gold, but we need to, in order to make sure of it, we need to, you know, spend, for instance, like, I don't know, $5 million to, you know, be absolutely sure that there is some gold. Would you be interested in investing into this kind of venture?
No.
Okay, no.
Because you should prove it that there are some gold there.
Of course. But if I prove the gold is in there, so it's going to be not $5 million, but already $500 million.
Depends how much money we have. If we are milliardaires, it's nothing for us.
Well, you don't need to invest the full amount.
It also depends on the source of information.
Of course, yes. Because the first question I would ask is that what kind of preliminary examination? Like, who actually did this preliminary examination? Is that a geologist who I trust with, or who? Like, you know, a person who actually, you know, worked as a taxi driver or what?
Scientists.
Scientists, yes.
People who have enough experience.
Sure. Then I would take a look on what actually he wants to do. Like, if he wants to buy Bentley for this, or just really, you know, wants to, you know, drill the earth, you know, collect the data, etc. So everything, like the full description of the project covered with the smart money. Do you know what smart contract is? That is the nature of the cryptocurrency. Actually, this smart contract limits what is possible to do with this digital money, and all investors can take the control of it. It's you know, very interesting functionality. So it provides more guarantee that the money is going to be spent just on the exploration of Earth rather than on something else. So, and why I just mentioned this, because you know, my company right now is developing the first and the pilot project for the diamond exploration, using the crypto exchange as the crowdfunding for making this project done. And I think that I mean, I just advise to everyone just to, you know, read the articles, and, you know, if we are going to be successful, I'm sure we will. So it's going to be a kind of starting point for the big market.
I have a question. Which cryptocurrency do you use?
Look, that is, we will provide our own token. So it's the basic idea is like this. So we understand how much money we need to explore this piece of Earth. So we provide the crypto tokens, which is going to be sold on the crypto exchange. Then we convert it onto fiat currency. We finance the exploration project, and we give back the either products, so the diamonds, Do you like diamonds?
Yeah.
So I can give you a link to this project in this case. So either diamonds or we will buy back these tokens when the diamonds are found. So it's going to be quite interesting venture investments. You are from Austria, right? Do you know the interest rate for deposit in euro currency today? It is negative interest rate, just for your information. So it is really hard today to, you know, to get some kind of conservative investments in Europe. Did you know this or not? No?
No.
Just because you don't have deposits yet.
Yes.
But when you come back home, just try to ask any kind of bank what kind of interest rate for euro deposit. So it's going to be negative, which is awful, I think. So if you have some kind of spare money, so you don't know where to put it, so don't put it into the bank because it's going to be less in a year. Not interesting.
If I may ask, why don't you use the stock market for raising capital?
Yeah, very good question. So because you know the stock market is the market where, you know, the level of risk is is really small. So for instance, IPO for New York Stock Exchange is only for those companies who already developed, like they actually do not need the money just for the setup or for the establishment. They need some kind of capital market just for expansion. But if we are talking about startup, where actually the business idea is not proven yet, so nobody from stock market would invest into this. So only venture capitalists, so that are specific people who actually can accept the high level of risk, exchanging them for high level of results. So this area is empty now, so you can also work in this. So looks like we are more or less finished, and if you have some questions, I would be really glad to answer them, if I can, of course.
Are there any books that you could recommend us to read on this?
About what?
About the combination of technology or some technology-based challenge or something like that.
Yeah, good question. Look, you know, it's quite often that people asking to have some kind of books, but you know that today the area of artificial intelligence and this IT advanced IT stuff is developing so fast that you know, all books are really getting slow, and you know, in fact today much more knowledge can be get just, you know, from reading the articles. I can recommend the website which actually I'm using, and you know, there is a just a second. It's called Kaisera. Kaisera. That is an online site, website for self-education. A lot of material. You should know this. It's pretty. Yeah.
Maybe concerning the future of the oil markets, do you think that it will be bright?
Do I think what?
That the oil market future will be bright?
I think no, because yeah.
Decreasing the demand and supply of oil.
Look, my opinion here is just an opinion, because as I mentioned before, I'm the physics. I'm the I studied nuclear physics in the university. So, and in this case, my idea was like this. So, people actually, the whole evolution is going through the more and more concentrated sources of energy. Like if you try to remember what kind of source of energy we used just 1,000 years ago, what was this? It was a muscle power. Like, okay, we just bring everything on ourselves. Then we started using horses, because the muscles are bigger, so the source of energy is bigger. Then we started using the steam power with the wood, then with the coal, because the coal is the more concentrated energy source. And then we started using oil. Do you know the more concentrated source of energy?
No.
Yes, nuclear. So that is the very natural way where to evaluate, where to develop. And after that, by the way, do you know the more concentrated source of energy, which is greater than nuclear? Come on, you're young, you should know everything. Okay, nuclear. What else? Thermonuclear. It is a deuterium and tritium. Does it say you something? Is there any even greater source of energy, more concentrated than thermonuclear? Come on.
Sun?
No. Sun is thermonuclear reaction, by the way. Annihilation. Read it in the Wikipedia after that. Just remember the name. Annihilation. It is not the Marvel universe. It is for real. Okay, I mean, this discussion was valuable for you? Should we trying to finish it? Huh?
The next time, the next part of the program.
Yes.
So our time is over.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
So now we have a coffee break and we will continue